Hey everyone, it's Bree here at Blossom and Branch Farm, and today I'm going to be telling you about the most important thing I do in seed starting season to ensure that I'm going to have healthy plants the entire growing season. Let's go. You guys might have heard me talk about this before. Today I wanted to simplify it a little bit and just be a little bit clearer on why this particular method is so beneficial and why it's one of the easiest and simplest things you can do, and you can do it at seed starting time. So it's really zero extra work, which is the most beautiful thing. You probably already know what it is because of the title of the video, but it's seed inoculation. Inoculation is where we are directly exposing our seed to fungus, to microbes, to all kinds of things that can be present in the soil, but aren't necessarily present in your soil. So you guys know a lot of what I focus on here is soil health. And yes, if you're practicing a lot of the regenerative things that we talk about in our book, on our channel, on our Instagram, a lot of this is regenerative soil practices. And if you practice them, you're going to have healthy soil. Things like mulching, things like cover cropping, things like covering your soil, limited disturbance in your soil, not using synthetic chemicals, not over applying compost, those kinds of things, right? But sometimes it takes a while to get our gardens there, and so there are things we can do to help ensure that our seeds are going to have the best start they possibly can. So inoculation is where we're literally putting an inoculant onto our seed. For certain seeds, and the one that we've probably heard the most in terms of inoculation is things like legumes, things like alfalfa, beans, peas, those kinds of legumes are ones that are nitrogen fixers. So that means they take nitrogen from the atmosphere and they actually fixate it down and into their roots. That's when you end up with those little white nodules on the roots, especially of legumes when you dig them up. That's actually nitrogen. Now, typically those plants are actually fixating that nitrogen for their own use. We talk more about this in our cover cropping class. By the way, it's on sale right now. So we've talked about that cover crops fixate nitrogen, right? But typically those plants actually want to use that nitrogen for themselves. So they are creating that nitrogen for their own use to create bean seeds and that kind of thing. Legumes aren't always able to fixate nitrogen very efficiently if the correct rhizobia isn't present. So one of the things we will inoculate with is rhizobia. It usually looks like a little black powder. Sometimes your seeds will come pre-inoculated with it, especially if you're ordering, for example, a cover crop seed. You can sometimes get it pre-inoculated with the correct rhizobia. But I don't assume that my seeds are ever inoculated. They're typically not, especially if you're getting them in seed packets. So I will always inoculate my legumes. So having the correct rhizobia in your soil, you might have it. There's a chance that rhizobia is already there, especially if you've applied it in the past. But we want to make sure that it's directly on the seed just so that it's the most efficient. It might be somewhere in your soil, but is it close to your seed? Is it where your plant is growing? Who knows? So I always inoculate my legumes with rhizobia. Now, rhizobia is one that's specifically for nitrogen fixation, but there are other inoculants that we can use for other benefits with other seeds other than legumes. The other benefit of rhizobia is that if a seed is inoculated with rhizobia, it's actually more cold tolerant. So studies show that rhizobia attachment, rhizobia inoculation with legume seeds means they will survive and continue to fixate nitrogen even into colder temperatures. So for example, if you're growing peas, sweet peas, legumes very early in the season, and you know you're gonna get a cold snap, if they have been inoculated with rhizobia, they're gonna survive better than the ones that were not. But what about non-leguminous crops, non-legume crops? They can also benefit from inoculant. Now, rhizobia is specifically for legume. There are other inoculants that are helpful for seeds that are not legumes. So azospirillum is actually another nitrogen fixing microbe. However, it also works for things that are non-leguminous. So things like cereal crops. I honestly inoculate all of my seeds. I inoculate my zinnias with it. I inoculate my snapdragons with it, all of that. I'll show you how to do it here in the second half of the video. But so anything that's not a legume, you can inoculate with azospirillum. Azospirillum, in addition to helping fixate nitrogen, also produces plant growth regulators. So it provides additional benefits on top of just nitrogen fixation. So azospirillum can also be used on legumes, but you'd only want to use rhizobia for legumes, if that makes sense. So just to clarify, azospirillum can be beneficial for legumes and non-legumes. Rhizobia you really only are going to want to use for legumes. Capiche? Clear. Okay. There's another one that I always will use when I am seed starting, and that is mycorrhizae. Mycorrhiza, no one ever knows how to spell it, but it's a crazy word. And if you start to use it a lot with your friends, they'll be super impressed. So do it. Mycorrhiza, if you picture, I'm gonna put a picture on the screen of what mycorrhiza looks like in your plant root system. Mycorrhiza, think of it as an extension of your plant's roots. So you have all your plant roots, you have all your fine little plant hairs, and then you have mycorrhiza. What that mycorrhiza does is it looks like it's extension of the roots. It looks like it's these fine little root hairs, but actually it's a fungal association that's happening with the plant roots. And what that mycorrhiza does is as it forms those little hairy webs extending out from the roots, it helps that plant get more nutrients from the soil, a more robust rhizosphere or root area of the plant. So having that mycorrhizal extension kind of the roots also helps the plants be more hardy. It helps them be less susceptible to things like drought and fungus and disease. So all of these are good things. So like I said, you can do this. Literally, it's the easiest thing you can possibly do because you don't have to do anything in your garden. You can just, as you're putting your seeds into their little cell containers or their little soil blocks or whatever you use to seed start, you just put a little on there and you seed it. Let's talk about how you do it. So actually what I do is I do a wet treatment first on my seeds. So I do a little wet slurry. So I do a 10% molasses to water mixture. So what it's gonna do is it's going to help make the seed sticky, so our mycorrhiza will stick to it better. And also it's a little bit of sugar, so it'll kind of help boost that life. It'll feed it a little bit as it's getting going and started. Now, if you're not sure which one you want to use, you can mix them all together, right? Applying rhizobia to a non-legume isn't gonna hurt, just so we're clear. Use a rhizobia, a mycorrhiza, and an azospirillum on your legumes. Anything that's not a legume, just leave off the rhizobia. So just the azospirillum and the mycorrhiza. Clear? When in doubt, guys, you can just mix it all together and put it on everything. That's totally fine too. One more thing I will add is don't use chlorinated water. When you're making this little mixture, don't use chlorinated water because, right? Chlorinated water is gonna kill whatever's in here. So we wanna dechlorinate our water, which is easy. All you're gonna do is you're gonna let it sit in a pitcher or a bucket for about 36 hours before you do this process. Or you could use something like melted snow, well water, pond water, runoff, just anything that hasn't been chlorinated because the chlorine will kill our rhizobia and our microbes and things. All right, so I've got this fairly well incorporated. I'm just gonna put my seeds, I keep this little bowl in my seed starting space and I just have it close by so that I can do this process. For the sake of demo, let's use onion seeds. I just sowed all my onions last week. Let's say I'm gonna do 20 onions, I don't know. I already did some, but we'll do just whatever left. So it doesn't take much. You can see that's why you can just make a little tiny batch of that. Okay, so now that they're all damp, I'm gonna take, now these are a non-legume, right, my onions. Now the onions, right, are a non-legume. So because they're a non-legume, I'm not gonna use rhizobia. I am only gonna use mycorrhiza and azospirillum. Now I'm using Bigfoot. I'll put a link to them down below. I also love the one from Advancing Eco Agriculture, which is called BioCoat Gold. That one has some other little goodies in there too. Really only need enough to cover, so it just does not take very much. One bag of this will certainly last you. And you wanna be sure that you're keeping and storing all of this stuff in a cool, dark place. You don't want all this stuff being exposed all the time to UV rays or heat or extreme cold because it is living products. So this is the azospirillum. And I'm just gonna take a little pinch of that as well. And then we're gonna coat. So see that nice little, that molasses mixture helped. So now all this stuff is adhering to these seeds. Okay, now we're gonna put these right into the block. So I mentioned that this is a living product basically, right? So what you don't want to do is you don't want to do this process and then put your seeds away and not plant them. You need to get them planted basically when you do this. This is a dehydrated product. Once it's wetted, it's gonna activate. And so you're gonna wanna plant these seeds right away. Else those microbes and mycorrhizae and stuff are gonna die off. So we're gonna do this, we're gonna plant within 24 hours, okay? It's okay especially if you're doing this like on a big scale. So when we do this at our home farm, for example, when we did this with our corn last year and we inoculated our seed afterward, right? We let it dry because we had to feed it into these big corn hoppers. And if we put it in there wet and sticky, first of all, our farmers would hate us because it would make their machine all cloggy, but also it wouldn't run through very well. So if you're using machinery, you can let this dry, spread it out in a cool, dark place and let it dry. If you're like me and you're just fairly small scale, then you can just plant them right away into your soil blocks or your trays or what have you. Now remember, if you've taken our online regenerative gardening course, and I'll link that one below as well. Remember, we talk about the other step that we do at planting time, and I've talked about it here as well, and I'll be showing it in spring, but just to make sure that we really like double dose this whole mycorrhizal situation at planting time. And really, so you see what I mean? It's just such an easy step to take when you're seed starting. Just do it then, and then you can really skip a lot of the work down the road, and it saves you so much material. So even if you're planting 14,000 seeds like I am, one bag. Keep it in the fridge. If you're gonna use, you probably use it for a couple of years if you keep it in a cool, dark place, right? Otherwise, I usually buy a fresh bag every year. And if you have extra, you can use it at planting time. Remember, we made that little slurry dip, and we'll be showing that again in spring. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. I hope you came away with something quick and easy you can do in the garden to help it thrive this year and to help boost that soil life. If you have any questions, make sure to put them down below, and I will be seeing you guys this week. We've got tons of content coming up, so can't wait. See you guys around here next time at the farm.